What's up, gamers? Aaron Shack here with the Shackcast episode 62. We're talking about Ara History Untold, Helldivers 2, Concord's $400 million budget, reportedly, Flight Sim 2024, and much, much more on the show. So we have a lot of things here. A lot of news coming in from YouTube and Twitch about new features that you might expect both as a creator and as a viewer of such entertainment on the various platforms. So once again, I will have links in the description down below to everything that we talk about on the show today. So make sure that you check down there if you want to view anything or discuss anything further. So yeah, first thing is that YouTube has announced a new feature called Hype. And it says, help your favorite creators get discovered by hyping their videos. And I'm gonna show this on screen. So yeah, you can hype the video and you give points to your favorite videos. And it says community can upvote videos to be discovered. Videos need to be from channels with under less than 500k subs, which I'll dive a little deeper into that. But Dexerto had a post here talking more about hype. So users are able to hype videos from rising creators, and the top videos will appear on a leaderboard. Then there's also this feature called auto dubbing, which allows creators to generate audio translations of their videos for different audiences. So that could be really cool if maybe you primarily record your videos in English, but maybe you have a Spanish and a Japanese and a Chinese, you got audiences, from all different countries that speak different languages, but maybe you don't translate and maybe you don't want to hire a team and pay them thousands of dollars to translate your videos for you. Potentially, I'm assuming that they're using some sort of AI to auto dub these videos. Could be a useful thing. And then there's GIFs, a system to send creators jewels in live streams, similar to Twitch's Cheers. So send GIFs during vertical live streams to show support for your favorite creators in real time. Kind of reminds me of TikTok more than anything. But kind of a new feature that looks really interesting. Let me go back here. Let's actually check out YouTube's blog on this. So, I mean, it's kind of cool. Kind of a way to be able to, help out your favorite creator and also, sort of do little GIFs and monetization type stuff. So this hyping it goes beyond simply liking and sharing. And it climbs a leaderboard with the top 100 hyped videos from the week. But once again, it's only creators that are below 500k, so you're not going to be competing with Mr. Beast and PewDiePie and all these other people. It's probably, unless Mr. Beast starts another channel and builds it up from zero and then just totally destroys this whole new feature here. But yeah, it's sort of the chance here. Anybody can hype up to 3 times per week. Will allow fans to purchase additional hypes, unlocking another revenue stream for creators too. So that's interesting. People could essentially sort of pay your advertising budget for you and get your video boosted. I'm not totally against it. I mean, we've had this with Discord for a long time, where you could boost someone's Discord channel and get extra features and better content for that particular channel. So that could be really interesting. Once again, for creators, when viewers hype your videos, it'll earn points to help you make it to a weekly leaderboard just for your country. Well, the US is very competitive, so we'll see how it goes, potentially putting you in front of a whole new audience. We've even got a small creator bonus built in, a point multiplier to channels with fewer subscribers. Interesting. So, I mean, my channel, we're kind of around the 5k mark. We're in that zone. So, could be interesting. I wonder what that creator bonus is and where does it tap out. Is it only for people below 1,000? Okay, anyway, let's keep reading. So hype's not about the leaderboard, though. Yo, appreciate that. Appreciate the new subscription. Hope you're enjoying the content on the channel. This is the Shackcast, podcast here about tech and gaming. We do a video podcast on YouTube, and we also do a recording, an audio recording of every podcast that goes to all your typical podcast outlets, Apple and Spotify and so on. So yeah, it's not just about the leaderboard. It's a way for viewers to let you know what content they're vibing with the most. I mean, that's true. I mean, you get that from your likes and your shares and stuff. And obviously people commenting on videos saying that they like it. But top type videos get a special badge showing everyone their fan favorites. That's interesting. That could be really good. In just the first 4 weeks of our beta tests in Turkey, Taiwan, and Brazil, users hyped over 5 million times across more than 50,000 unique channels. Plus, the largest age group hyping videos in our beta is 18 to 24-year-olds, making up over 30% of all beta users. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Let's see. They'd like to help small and medium-sized creators grow their channels. Makes sense. Quote here saying, I can directly support the creators I care about. Feels like I'm a part of the journey. Okay, kind of interesting. What's up, Hunter? How's it going? Welcome everyone. Let's see. User feedback is key to shaping the final product. Yeah, so they're going to be doing some testing. Played around with the idea of letting viewers cheer their own comments, complete with animations and effects. Once again, it does feel very TikTok-y, which is not a bad thing. It's more ways that you can further express yourself as a viewer, and with super chats and stuff like that. It's a way to get more attention and sort of get at the top of the chat, top of the conversation. And, when we're doing podcasts and stuff like that, sometimes it can be really hard to manage everything that's going on in the chat. So, like, the super chats could be reserved, and all these other features could be reserved for, like, when a viewer wants to ask a question or express support in some way, or, whatever it may be, right? So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Okay. Yeah, so pretty soon, maybe they'll potentially roll that out to other audiences. But yeah, just kind of shows you like what's on the way as far as YouTube goes. Now, Exerto also has another thing here, which is about the Twitch CEO has announced shared chat is launching next week. When multiple streamers go live together, their chats will merge on all channels. And then basically they're going to have like little symbols next to their names that will let moderators and everyone really know which chat that they're coming from. And they've also talked about, like, even if you're not streaming together, like even if it's just like what me and J-Star and TX and Andrew, what we do on the weekends where we play Elden Ring together, and we really just chat in Discord together. But even if we weren't all like multi-streaming on Twitch together, which we can't do because we're not partners, something reserved only for them now, I think, is the squad streaming. But you can do like what's the other thing called, where it's like you call into someone's stream and then it combines the streams that way. It's kind of weird. You could potentially do that one and then you get the shared chat that way. But they've also talked about the idea of, like, even if you're just in Discord talking to each other and you're both streaming, you could just share your chats that way, since it's like, oh, both my favorite streamers are live, and they're playing the same game together, but they're not doing squad streaming or what have you, whatever you want to call it. But we'd be able to still put our chats together, which could work to your advantage as long as you either have proper moderation settings set up. If you both have a good mod team, you definitely need to be prepared if you're combining two communities together. But I feel like most of the time that you're collaborating with other people in this way, I think your community is going to be like equal size, or there's going to be some sort of transfer of viewers back and forth. It's not necessarily going to be that, like, Mr. Beast is going to join my stream and all of a sudden I'm going to be inundated by millions of viewers. Like, that might happen, but it's also kind of unlikely that you're ever going to, like, team up with someone that's, like, a mega size and you're going to be, like, unprepared for it in some way or another. So, I don't know. It could be really interesting. And it could be a good feature, and honestly, I welcome it. I think it's a good idea. I think it's an interesting idea nevertheless. Let me make sure that we're going through here and hitting all this. Yeah, so the next thing I want to talk about is, this is kind of crazy. The Chosen, which is a series about the life of Jesus Christ, is now going to be turned into a cinematic universe. And I just wonder, are we going to call it the JCU, the Jesus Christ Universe? The Jesus Christ Cinematic Universe? The JCCU? JCCU? Something like that? Maybe something like that? Yo, what's up? The Iceman, appreciate you resubscribing as a member on the channel. 4 months! And you got the cherry red ES335 335 sub badge. Well, you need some Dr. Pepper cookies. And don't say I bring negativity. I always bring positivity. I told Jay Platinum you bought a gold chain. I didn't buy a gold chain. I don't have a gold chain. That would be cool. Dr. Pepper cookies, though. That could be really good. I'd try it. So here's what's coming in the JCCU. A Joseph limited series, spin-off, 3-season Moses series, that could be really cool, an Acts of the Apostles series, and a Jesus animated series that follows Jesus' interactions with children in the wild, starring Paul Walter Hauser. So, interesting. I really don't want to read too much more on that, but this is a really good show you can watch. I believe they have like their own app called The Chosen, and I believe it's also on Netflix. So if you're a Christian, I'm a Catholic, but if you're a Christian and you want to watch, some Jesus programming, this is among some of the best that I've ever seen in terms of that. So, could be interesting. Let's see. What's my thoughts on Universal and Comcast buying the rights for Zack Snyder from WB Discovery, and the Snyder fans want competition with Guns DCU. I'm trying to understand your question. Okay, so I mean, I guess some people have sort of pushed this thing that perhaps maybe there would be like a chance where Netflix or someone, any one of these companies could like buy the Snyderverse rights for that universe to continue. I guess the DCEU, which, I mean, I'm not like totally against. I actually love what was being done there, and I'd love to see it continue. I think there was kind of a good start, and then Zack Snyder's Justice League was really incredible, and then it just kind of fizzled out, and then DC just didn't allow it to flower and continue. There were plans, there could have been good ideas, but I think, once again, it wasn't a very unified vision. And yeah, it probably would create a little bit of a clash between like what DC's trying to do now with the rebranding, so I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, this is a new royal blue dress shirt. I really like it. I think it's looking very nice. I don't know that I've worn this before. This might be a brand new one. So, yeah, I appreciate the compliments on the shirt. Next thing that we have here is Helldivers. Helldivers 2. I said, don't you just love the smell of freedom in the morning? Unleash weapons of gas destruction to sterilize the battlefields of our vile alien threats. The Chemical Agents Warbond came to Helldivers 2 on September 19th, which is my birthday. So we had a little birthday celebration. We did some live streams on that. But yeah, the Chemical Agents Warbond is now live on Helldivers. They've also done a series of what they call Buffdivers, where they're just buffing every gun in the game. And they're rather intent on making sure that all the weapons in the game are, powerful and useful in their own ways, but, where things are still stabilized. There's the Sterilizer and a guard dog breath stratagem, so it's going to be shooting like chemical weapons. You have patterns for all your mechs and your ships and your hell pods. There's a gas grenade, a stim pistol, 300 super credits. There are new banners, new capes, new emotes, player title, expert exterminator, and of course there's new armor. Let me actually show you guys this on screen. It actually looks really cool. Yeah, so my birthday was on the 19th, and I'm now 35 years old. Yikes. So, yeah, that's what you can expect right there. Yeah, just all the patterns, all the emotes, all the cool stuff. They have like a short little... I want to actually play the music here. I want to get the podcast... Oh no, what's happening? It's trying to like green screen my hair. I don't know. Yeah, just that green background. I don't know. Could be interesting. New stratagems and whatnot. So yeah. Helldivers stuff. Exciting. I'd like to get back and see what's going on. I did see that PS5 Pro, yeah, that gray one. I you know, the 30th anniversary. I think it's cool. I don't think the PS5 Pro is worth it. I think if you're going to spend that kind of money, you either need to be in a situation where you can sell your original PS5, or maybe that you're upgrading from the PS4 to the PS5 and you say, "Hey, I want some more fidelity and performance." Then okay, maybe the Pro is for you, if you have that $700 to spend. But I would honestly say take that $700 and invest it in a gaming PC. You wouldn't have to spend that much more to be able to throw it all together and have a halfway decent gaming PC. I appreciate that subscription to the channel. I hope you're enjoying the content. This is the Shackcast, which is a tech and gaming podcast that we host here on the channel. Yeah, $700 is a little crazy. And I do agree. I would rather wait for a PlayStation 6 or, you know, which could be a few years out. So it seems really weird to spend $700 now and then maybe 2 to 4 years from now, you know, however long it's going to be, you're going to be buying a PlayStation 6 for $700-800 or whatever the new price is, right? I don't think game consoles will necessarily get cheaper, but I also think $700 is insane. Like, I paid $600 for the PS3, the fat PS3 at launch, and it was great, and it was worth it. It had backwards compatibility. It had really good performance. It was able to play Blu-ray movies. It was one of the most inexpensive and versatile Blu-ray players ever, because you could download CDs, you could have your photos on there. You had other OS, which allowed you to install like Windows or Linux into your PS3, which that feature is no longer available. And you had the USB ports and the SD cards. I mean, the PS3 was a powerhouse, and it was backwards compatibility for all generations of PlayStation games. You could play PS1, PS2, and PS3 games, whereas the PS4 and PS5, they really just kind of play some games. And some games from PS4 can be played on PS5. And, you know, really the 3, 2, 1 generations are just extinct. And you might get them to show up on your PS4 or PS5 in some sort of collection or a remaster, or they might make you pay money to rent that game and stream it. It just doesn't sound great. Doesn't sound great at all. So the next topic I have here is that Sony's Concord, the game that was canceled after 2 weeks out in the wild, that sold less than or right around 25,000 copies and only made about $1 million. Reportedly, we are hearing reports that it cost $400 million to develop. And the game was reportedly referred to as the future of PlayStation internally. They were saying that Concord was essentially hyped up as PlayStation's version of Star Wars. Like, that's how big they wanted to go with Concord. And that's why you had Concord showing up in that TV show, which is still allegedly going to have a Concord episode of that. Despite the fact that the game has been taken offline And there are rumors that it may come back either as a free-to-play game or that it might just simply, I would say, bring it back as a single-player game with lots of story and stuff and redo some of the character designs and just make it a game that people want to play. Like, it looked like Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, that would be a fun premise alone. And we saw the cutscenes when it was first revealed, and people were like, oh, this seems like another great, PlayStation narrative type game, what we usually expect. But then when it ends up being a live service hero shooter, everyone got real sad. And, fair enough. We have plenty of those games. It's really hard to make more room in your schedule when you have Destiny, The Division, Fortnite, Apex, Rainbow Six Siege, Warframe, and any number of these games that are just consistently, good games that are being added onto over time, and everyone has their favorites, and everyone has the ones they don't like. But Concord just didn't make a big enough of a dent, and, people had problems with the character designs. Some people don't like certain features. I once again critique character designs. The colors not really matching up, not really working with what's called color theory. They were kind of picking colors that don't really go together or belong within the same family, and that creates a little bit of a cringe. So yeah. Anyway, back to the article at hand. Sony offered refunds to all players who purchased the game. So essentially, they had made $1 million in gross sales, but of course that was all refunded, so they actually ended up spending $400 million and not making a single dime back. So, the game director over at Firewalk Studios has reportedly stepped down as of last week, which is interesting because I think we were all waiting to see if they were just going to lay off the staff, sort of the underlings, which is usually what happens anytime a game flops or there's, some sort of, bad sales or whatever it might be. We've seen Bungie has had layoffs despite releasing one of their best expansions in the final shape. Those layoffs were allegedly inevitable. But with Concord here, I think we're still kind of waiting to see could this potentially, will there be more layoffs to follow this? But it's actually kind of refreshing to see that someone at the top realized, hey, nobody wanted this. Less than 25,000 players playing your game when, most PlayStation Studios games are, massive, hundreds of millions of dollar projects invested, and then they usually make all that money back and then some. So yeah, for this game to spend 400 mil and only make 1 mil back that's rough. That's really, really rough. Okay? So, going from there, yeah, sold as few as 25,000 copies. Said, we've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch and want to thank everyone who's joined the journey aboard the North Star. That's really all we have on this, but I have some numbers here. Sony court documents reveal PlayStation game budgets that exceed $200 million each. So let's talk about it, right? So let's put it all in perspective. Concord, $400 million, the largest budget that we've ever seen of a PlayStation Studios game. All right, so let's compare and contrast here. The Last of Us Part 2 has reportedly come in at $220 million. That's the budget. That's what it costs to make the game. All right. Horizon Forbidden West coming in at $212 million. Spider-Man 2, right? The recent Spider-Man 2 that came out, $315 million. God of War Ragnarok, $200 million. So once again, Concord is double the budget of most of these games. It's $100 million, almost $100 million more than Spider-Man 2's $315 million budget. And it made $1 million. Okay, so that is a disconnect. It's not, you could make arguments, go woke, go broke, or whatever, but this is literally you're making something that no one wants, right? Usually, if you come up with something, you come up with a product or an invention, it's something that someone wants. Like, you're like, oh, you want more Star Wars? We got a new Star Wars show. Here you go. Problem solved, right? Or, oh, my sponge in the kitchen doesn't clean up enough messes. I got a problem here. Oh, well, I made this new thing that's even better than the sponge, and it picks up all the messes, and it's really clean. You just rinse it off, and it's good to go. I've invented this for you. I've solved a problem that you have, or I've created entertainment value that you will now enjoy. But when you create something like Concord, and it doesn't really do any of that, and it doesn't make money, it's a serious problem. It's not a solution to anything. It's not, hey, we've fixed this thing that you have. So, kind of an example there. I think that's all I have on that. But it's just a big controversy, and I don't know if I put too much stock. I mean, 400 million seems crazy. I don't, that's kind of a rumor. So I wouldn't put too much stock into it, but at the same time, it makes sense that kind of game would be rather expensive, and live service is a continuous investment that you would have to continue to sink more money into over time and keep the servers up and keep adding more content and pray that gamers will actually invest in buying skins and new outfits and emotes and whatever to keep the game funded, especially if you're not going to charge for expansions. You're just going to make it to where players will just buy microtransactions. Next, Paris Lily, you can find him over at Paris on YouTube. That's Paris with 2 R's. He put out this video, which was really cool. He was playing Flight Simulator 2024, and he had gotten flown out to the Grand Canyon, and he was able to go on an actual flight as well as, fly around within the game. And we have some gameplay that we're showing here on screen, part of his video here. But yeah, you got to sit down and interview some of the devs, and he got to go for a little ride on the Vision Jet. I think this is a really cool video, and I just wanted to throw that in the description down below if you guys wanted to check it out. I think he asked some really good questions, and he gets in some really good discussions, and he's obviously covered the Flight Simulator 2020 in the past, and of course him and some other creators were flown out and had the opportunity to get in there, get in the cockpit, and fly around, see the Grand Canyon, which is really cool. We're going to talk a little more about Flight Simulator, so I thought we'd kind of introduce the topic with that. So what's different about Flight Simulator 2024 in short? I'm going to actually go over here to their main page. They're saying, pursue your dream of an aviation career with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. A brand new simulator is designed to take advantage of the latest technologies in simulation, cloud, machine learning, graphics, and gaming to create the most sophisticated, immersive, and awe-inspiring flight simulator of all time. So why does it have to be its own game? Well, it's actually going to include a bunch of aviation activities, from medevac, remote cargo ops, aerial firefighting, search and rescue, and more, all the way to become an airline passenger transport pilot. So yeah, you'll be able to level up and explore skill trees in these various careers, challenge league mode activities, rally races, precision landings, low altitude challenges, fly head to head in the iconic Red Bull air races or legendary Reno air races, including the new Roswell courses. You can be a world photographer and travel across our beautiful planet to capture awe-inspiring natural vistas, visit famous landmarks, and record these adventures with pictures in your travel book. So that's really cool. Advanced simulation, there's all sorts of stuff here. I don't want to get bogged down by the details, but I have links in the description down below if you want to actually dive into how many airports there are, how many heliports and points of interest and oil rigs and airports, and how many trees are in the game. They kind of get into all this stuff. But one of the things that they're talking about right now is that you can actually land in certain areas. Yeah, it says land anywhere, and you can exit your aircraft to explore 27 highly detailed biomes with hundreds of species of vegetation, dynamically created details including grass, rocks, and flowers, all influenced by seasonal changes. This all-new photometric lighting system renders the world more accurately than ever before. So yeah, it kind of shows you that, you know, you could land in like a field or somewhere. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. And Jamie Moran had a little video clip here of just, you know, how you could just land a plane, get your camera out, look at that. There's a wild deer. You know, you got the hot air balloon stuff. There's, you know, various gliders and all sorts of vehicles and blimps and, you know, all sorts of neat things. And it's just allowing you to do like all sorts of challenges and go flying around with friends and, you know, like they said, do some of the like rescue and, you know, delivering packages and stuff like that, and just sort of, you know, getting to really, you know, the main Flight Sim 2020 was really about like simulating the idea of just flying these planes and exploring the world. And, you know, some people get really big into like simulating what it's actually like to fly a plane and land at an airport and, you know, ask for clearance and things like that and check the weather and do flight plans and just be very meticulous about what you do. Well, this allows you to sort of like role play in the larger world of having a career in aviation. I think that seems really cool. So keep your eyes open for Flight Simulator 2024. And once again, check out Paris's video in the description down below. It's called Paris Went to the Grand Canyon to preview Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 and pilot a Vision jet. So pretty cool. But yeah, one of the things here that Jamie Moran said, he's a big news outlet here on Twitter that covers a lot of Xbox stuff. He has a gaming podcast where he talks about that, The Elusive Gamer on YouTube. But yeah, I kind of responded. I said, yeah, dude, this is insane. I never thought the series would ever evolve to this point. Like, where you, like, I've played these games a long time. I've played a lot of the old ones, Flight Sim 98 and stuff like that. I never thought there would be a period where we could land, get out of the plane, and go take pictures of stuff. Like, I never thought the detail would ever get to this point. Like, I always thought the games looked really cool, and the cities were rendered as beautiful as they could be for each time period. But I never really thought we'd actually be able to do all the amazing things that Flight Simulator has actually evolved into at this point. So next, I want to talk about another thing that actually Paris has actually done here on his channel. I know it feels like I'm really advertising pretty heavy on Paris, but I think he's done a really good job of you know, getting these interviews with people, and I really enjoy his commentary and his positivity that he peddles, allegedly. So he is known as a positivity peddler, which I really like the alliteration, and I'm glad it's a positive moniker that he can roll with. But yeah, you can kind of see here on screen. I'm going to double check our quality here. Okay. Yeah, that you're able to, in Aura History Untold, this is going to be coming to Xbox and PC, I believe. This is made by Xbox Game Studios. It's really a game that's going to be having you doing all sorts of like resource management. You're going to be going through all different eras of human achievement from the past up to like kind of the near future. And it's sort of a, it's like a turn-based game, but it's, I think they were saying, I was listening to part of the interview, and they were talking about how some of the turns take place like very quickly and like at the same time. So it kind of feels like you're very consistently playing. So once again, Paris just knocking it out of the park with some really good conversations and some really good questions. You know, they dive into combat and warfare. They dive into like how government and religion works in the game. Yeah, this is one that I would definitely love to cover on the channel. I love RTSs, and I I think there's something, the moment I saw this one revealed, I was like, there's something here that's really cool. But yeah, you could sort of stick with, Egypt or Greece or, China or whatever your empire. And I think they were saying that you could have, the maps were going to be very large. Like you could have several civilizations all together on the same map. So it would almost feel like you have a whole world out there. I don't know. This could be really fun. It could be just a really chill time, and it looks, trading with other nations. I would recommend that if you're interested in this kind of stuff, definitely jump in because, yeah, you got military, commerce, government, religion, culture, science, industry, harvesting. Okay, yeah, all sorts of things here that you can see that they're obviously managing here on screen. So, yeah, it looks like Paris got some time. Oh, I think Paris with one R in this thing. I don't know if that's actually him playing. But yeah, it just kind of shows like what you can do with your civilization and the explored lands and venturing out into the unexplored. I think this video is actually really cool. So I would invite you to check it out in the description down below. I think it's really cool and really interesting, and I would actually look forward to covering this on the channel. So I'm gonna see if I can request that, and if I'm able to do it, I will most certainly have some coverage of that for you all in the future. So yeah, that kind of concludes our segment on the wonderful Paris. That's Paris with 2 R's. You can find him on YouTube, Parris, and I have links to both of his videos on Ara History Untold and Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I just found that he had some really great videos, and I enjoy his content, and he's a very respectable person that does some really good coverage out in the industry and really keeps the positive conversations flowing. So the next thing I have to show you guys, I'll actually full screen this right now. But yeah, Halo 3 ODST is celebrating its 15th birthday here, so 15 incredible years since Halo 3's, I guess you would call it like a DLC, ODST has dropped, and I think there was something really special about both Reach and ODST, was that you really didn't feel like the unkillable Spartan warrior, you really sort of felt like, just not like a regular trooper. You're obviously still a Spartan, but the odds were stacked against you, and people are dying all around you. In ODST, you're actually the only soldier in your squad, and you're like kind of exploring the aftermath of all these battles, and you're sneaking around and trying to fight and pick up scraps, and you're just kind of barely surviving. And then sort of with Reach, your ragtag team of Spartans are facing overwhelming odds, being attacked by the Covenant, and each member sort of falls as you play further into the game. It's a story of tragedy, and so I think these games are really special in that way, that they are stories that are not about like a unkillable super soldier. It's really, they got a lot of heart to them, a lot of tragedy, and it really feels more down to earth. So, if you haven't played Halo 3 ODST or Reach, I would highly recommend tapping into it. But yeah, just a little special video that looks like the Halo team put together to sort of memorialize it. I just say still one of the best stories. Really felt raw and down to earth, full of loss and sorrow. I love more ODST games. Me and Texas Wolverines have talked about this quite a bit during our full playthrough of the Halo series that you can see on the channel. We played through the series in chronological order of events, and I think Reach and ODST were some of the games that we sort of agreed on were like the most impactful and some of the ones that we enjoyed the most. So yeah, I would really like them to explore more of that, and I think Halo Wars actually had some ODST missions and campaigns that you were able to play, and it felt really cool. It felt really cool to like put your boots down on the ground as some hell jumpers, and it was just a really cool, interesting thing there. let's see. Next, I have this is not something I'm gonna really dive too much into, but there's a little bit of a discussion going on with Paul Tassi, writer for Forbes and Star Wars Theory. This is sort of diving more into the critique of Star Wars, the Acolytes series, and how now that the Acolyte series has been canceled due to poor viewership, bad writing, and what people have said is bad writing and lore breaking of the show, of the creators not being knowledgeable of Star Wars lore and sort of writing in things that don't make sense within the universe. There are people that are sort of reaching out, as well as Paul Tassi here, are sort of supporting that YouTube channels be demonetized, or they are both sort of defaming and slandering various creators. Now, I don't know all the creators. I'm just kind of speaking on Star Wars Theory here, and that he really speaks on his opinion. There are some Star Wars things that he likes, and there are some Star Wars things that he dislikes. I think he kind of dislikes the sequel trilogy, from what I understand. I think he didn't enjoy the last season of The Mandalorian, but he thought seasons 1 and 2 were really good. I think The Acolyte he had a really hard time with, because he does love Plagueis, but he feels like the show really didn't do Plagueis justice, and I would agree with him on that. But I also think they spotted a lot of the lore discrepancies with The Acolyte, which was that Ki-Adi-Mundi, should not have been alive during this stuff. And there's a lot of sort of controversy between what he says and what the Jedi does. And, it gets a little deeper. We've talked about The Acolyte in previous videos, my thoughts on it, and the wider ranging thoughts of other people like him included. I think we've already talked that to death. So I would say refer back to older Shackcast episodes if you want more on The Acolyte and just my opinion on that in general. But I think this is coming down to the idea of defamation, deplatforming people, just sheerly based on opinions of people saying, hey, I don't like this show. So, why do people have to come after people that don't like something and try to dismantle their entire livelihood? Like this guy here, his whole career is YouTube. It's all about his Theory Sabers, where he makes the lightsabers, and his company employs a lot of people that make the lightsabers and sell the lightsabers and distribute them. Everything that comes with doing stuff like that. So the fact that there are people on the side of The Acolyte, a show that once again had low viewership, that hey, if you don't like the show, don't watch it. Okay, people didn't watch it, but I think I watched it. I think he watched it. We had to know what happened because we're Star Wars fans, and we just want to see, is it good? Is it bad? Even if it is bad, how bad is it? Things like that. It's kind of a curiosity killed the cat kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, I think, as I've said here, the idea of sort of defaming someone or deplatforming someone simply for voicing an opinion and saying that these people are racist or bigots or harassing simply because they didn't like the show is kind of crazy. There obviously are people that are racist and bigots that watch Star Wars and voice their opinions about it, but I don't think it's this person. It's obviously not me either. I think, as he has said in multiple videos, practically every video he puts out about Star Wars, he says, I don't really care about people's race or religion or their gender or their sexual preferences. They can do anything they want, but Star Wars needs to be about the lore. It needs to tell a good story. It needs to have good characters. And this show had none of that. So it's not about attacking someone because of their race on the show. It's nothing like that. Okay, so I think that's where the difference happens, is where people take your dislike of the show as an attack on them and who they are and what they like and all the diversity and representation, all those things. And it's not an attack on that. You're just internalizing that yourself as an attack. Like, it's just a bad show. It's not about these characters, disliking them because of what they look like. It's just because they're just bad characters and just not interesting, not well written. You could argue about the acting. You could say it's not well acted. You could say all sorts of things, right? So that's what you get for having an opinion. And I think going after people on either side of this issue and harassing or threatening them or doing the death threats and stuff like that, which people on both sides have received, I think is really rough. And of course, YouTube has reviewed all said videos involved with this and have found that none of the content has had any sort of, threatening language or any sort of racism or sexism or homophobia and any sort of things like that would violate YouTube's terms of service. So once again, it's like people are trying to defame and deplatform others without any evidence, without any context. They just want to do it because they don't like this person and want to get them off the platform. So weaponizing audiences is a really horrible thing, and I just don't advocate for it. I think if you have to kick someone down and step on them to get higher up in the industry, I think you don't deserve that. And I think that is trash, and I think you're garbage. If you're gonna get good at something, I think you have to do what he has done, and he just made a bunch of videos. He was just very passionate about what he does. He made up theories about Star Wars, about little things like, what if Obi-Wan died during the fight on Mustafar and Anakin lived? Like, how would that change the entire Star Wars canon from there? It's all sorts of fun little theories like that. What ifs and different scenarios, or, deep dives on lore or analysis of comic books and TV shows and stuff like that. So, he obviously just put his passion into that, and it's obviously been incredibly successful, and now it's, become monetized as a result here. And I actually really like Paul Tassi in some ways. I read a lot of his stuff on Destiny and some other games, but I do think at times I do disagree with his idea that Steam numbers represent an entire community and that we should be assessing the Steam numbers of every game, even if it's a multi-platform game, and then we should take those Steam numbers and those should be the actual numbers showing whether a game is about to live or die or what have you. So I don't know. It's just, I don't like all of what Paul Tassi does, and I think he does engage in some of the clickbait and the and obviously some of his slanderous and defamatory statements towards this creator Star Wars Theory is not a good look for him. But obviously on the other end, he has revealed that he has gotten like death threats and stuff like that, and I think that that's certainly not something anyone would encourage. But I also think at the same time he does sort of agree with the fact that it's okay to have death threats against other people, but when they come towards him and his side of the fan base, then it's a bad thing. So it is sort of a weird double standard that's happening there, where my views matter but yours don't, and obviously just wanting to use his platform on Forbes to sort of bring down other people and to sort of create sort of a hate campaign against all this. So I don't know. I enjoy some of his articles from time to time, but I'm very critical of journalists, and that shouldn't. I'm critical of journalists because I believe so much in the profession that journalists should be really good and that they should be, not hold themselves to such a high standard that they believe themselves to be above all critique and things like that, and to not, to believe that no one can critique you or that no one can disagree with you, sort of takes you to a whole new level of ego where you're not really a journalist anymore. You're something else entirely. So I'll leave it at that on that whole issue. Moving on, God of War Ragnarok, like Helldivers 2 initially did, and what Ghost of Tsushima does on PC at launch, they all require a PlayStation Network account in order for you to play on PC. that has resulted in review bombing of God of War Ragnarok. So this situation, you remember probably a couple months ago, this happened with Helldivers 2 because it did require a PlayStation Network account at launch. They bent the rules a little bit initially to allow people to simply get into the game and start playing. They sort of bent the rule. And then PlayStation actually came forward and spoke with the folks at Arrowhead, the developer of Helldivers 2, and they actually talked about sorry, lost my train of thought there. But they talked about solutions for having, PlayStation Network not being available in all countries all over the world, stuff like that. Yeah, imagine landing at your house and taking a picture in Flight Sim. Pretty cool. Yeah, Halo's awesome too as well. Just wanted to make sure I caught up on the comments. But yeah, with Helldivers, they were trying to figure out solutions of like, how do we make PSN available in more places, or do we simply just drop the requirement? Well, at the end of the day, Sony decided like, hey, for this game, let's just, drop the requirement. But it is mandatory for most PlayStation games that you have a PSN account, even if you're playing on PC. And if you're a PC gamer, you know that if you're on Steam, you're on Epic Games, you're on EA, you're on, Battle.net, any of these services, Ubisoft, if you're playing any one of their games, you have to log into their platform or your account or whatever in order to play. So once again, they had the same terms and same rules when Ghost of Tsushima came to PC. No complaints, no real outbursts, no review bombing. Nobody seemed to care. They only cared when it was Helldivers. They had the same rules for Ghost of Tsushima. They let you know ahead of time, just as they did previously, but albeit with even more banners and more easier to spot recognition that you would need a PSN account and you would need to sign in. And of course, Ghost of Tsushima does have a 4-player co-op mode, so you would need to log in for that. So now, God of War Ragnarok has launched, and it does require the PlayStation Network login. And if we go God of War Ragnarok, we log in. So yeah, reviews are currently mixed due to review bombing. Now once again, it does show here that PlayStation Network accounts required. They've put it in orange, they've highlighted it, they've let you know. And of course they always mention it here, even though a lot of people don't look. But I mean, this is a key point that you come to see. Is the game single player? Does it work with the controller I like to use? Okay, it looks like it does require an account. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Does it work on my Steam Deck? Sure, okay. So once again, we're seeing people review bomb the game as a result. So it's an interesting double standard that people only care about until it is a minor inconvenience to them. So once again, I don't really think it's about people advocating for people in the Philippines or other countries all around the world that don't have PSN, and we don't really know why they don't have PSN, or why PSN is not available in their region, or why they would have to use like a VPN, or they'd have to like make a PSN account and then like lie about what country they're in, which would be against PlayStation's terms of service, which could potentially get you banned. But I would also say that they wouldn't have a reason to check those things unless you were to bring attention to something like that. So yes, it is technically not good that you're doing that, but it's not a thing that you're going to get caught for, per se. So I don't know. Kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, I think review bombing a critically acclaimed game and having it down to 69% here because of people review bombing something that has really nothing to do with the actual content of the game as to whether it's a good game or whether there are performance issues with the game on PC at launch, which allegedly it's actually been pretty good on that front. It's actually a really well done game and it runs really well and it's absolutely gorgeous. And you know, once again, we have had situations with PC ports of PlayStation games like The Last of Us Part 2 launching in a very poor state. Part 1. Sorry, Last of Us Part 1. Launching in a very poor state. But I believe now it looks like it's showing mostly positive reviews. So I don't know. We would have to go in and really dig deep in to see if there's performance issues there. I think I own this game. Yeah, I do own this game. I just haven't played it. When I heard that bad news, I was just like, I think I'll just wait for them to do their optimization fixes and go from there. Let's see what else we have to talk about on the show. We are getting around to the very end here. So if you have any questions or topics that you want addressed on the show, get those in the chat before we start to wrap things up. But among some of the last things I want to talk about here, let me see if I can do a thing here. Yeah. So this is a little bit on Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. I have to say I've really enjoyed this game. Let me like disappear for a second. You can kind of see some gameplay here. But yeah, Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster has been really dope. I've really enjoyed playing it on the channel. I think they have put in some much needed quality of life enhancements to the game. We've gotten a decent way through, and we'll probably be wrapping up our first playthrough of the game this week, and obviously we'll dip more into future playthroughs of like trying to save all the survivors or go for different endings or different achievements and stuff like that, and just, you know, generally just having fun and interacting with all the systems that are available in the game. But I think they've made the UI and the controls a little easier to deal with. It's a much more fun experience now than the original game. I really enjoy the original game. I think it's one of the best in the series and arguably one of the best zombie games that I can think of. But there's really some special secret sauce about this game. And obviously you can see I have Frank West sporting Chris Redfield's armor from Resident Evil 1, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, once again, just really enjoying this game, and I think the graphical fidelity is nice, and you know, it's got the original audio that's like sounds really good. It's very immersive, and of course they got a new actor for Frank West, and he kind of has more of sort of a New York accent there. And I think it's really cool. I think it's fun. I think it's a good voice, and it feels natural, and I think Capcom is now asking whether people actually want a potential remaster, a deluxe remaster of Dead Rising 2. Would they do it? I guess we'd have to wait and see. But I think I've said, like, hey, this is the secret sauce of the series. I'd like to see them build on this game instead of what they did with the sequels. I'd love to see them go back to something like this, which is a little more... That's really weird seeing me and my twin here. But yeah, a little more bare bones and, you know, just back to the basics of what made the series so immersive and so beautiful. It was the lighting, it was the location, it was the audio of the location. Like, it was saving the survivors and managing groups and managing your time in the quests and all those various things, you know. What's up, Jay? How you doing, man? We're just getting around to the end of the show here, but yeah, we've kind of hit up a lot of topics today. Definitely go back and reference that. I've got links in the description down below to all of the things that we've talked about today. A couple videos that you can go back and reference from there. I don't know. Maybe I have some time. We could do a live stream after the show, but I've got to get this podcast out on the feeds. So yeah, we might look forward to some more Dead Rising, wrapping up the main story next week, and potentially getting back into Black Myth Wukong. I believe I was in Chapter 4 of the playthrough there. And also Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. I did get my gold edition on PS5, and so I either need to figure out if I want to keep playing there or if I want to keep playing on my Series X file. But we do need to sort of see about where I'm going to play that and like wrap up the story mode on that so we can get into some PvE with the rest of the guys in the group. Yeah, that'd be really fun, man. But yeah, we'll wrap up Dead Rising, get back into Black Myth Wukong, and then I'll see where I'm at on the Space Marine stuff. I'd like to finish the story before I get into the PvE. That way there's no like spoilers or anything like that. But I just wanted to sort of talk about how I really enjoyed this game, and I think we talked a little bit about how I enjoyed Star Wars Outlaws, and then I don't know when I'm going to get to it. Trying to grab it here. But in the coming weeks, I am going to check out Star Wars Jedi Survivor here. I did pick that up. I just don't want to get like inundated with too many games. That, you know, I'm just like playing one game a night and it's like I can't really finish any game, or I just end up playing bits and pieces of one game or another. So we're going to save that one for a special occasion. Yeah, I think Outlaws graphics, I picked it up on the Xbox Series X, and I think it looks great. It's immersive, it's fun, it looks good, it's fun to play. I love the reputation system, some of the treasure hunting, looking for upgrades and stuff like that, instead of having a conventional level up or a skill tree, where it's like, you know, you're like searching for the gear and the parts that you need in order to upgrade something, rather than just simply getting XP and leveling up by doing missions. It's more about like you're a scrapper, you're a thief, you're searching for the gear you need to upgrade your ship or your speeder or your blaster. And I think that's a really interesting way to tackle progression. And then of course you combine that with the outfits and the weapons and the parts and stuff that you unlock from your reputation with various factions, and how you can play one faction against another faction. You can betray one against the other, or you could sneak around behind all their backs and rob all of them and become the ultimate outlaw, you know? But I do think there are some bugs and, you know, some buyer beware situations, but I mean, for the most part, I think it's an interesting game, and it's just good. It's decent, and I'll play it some more on the channel. So if you guys have some questions or concerns, or you want to see some gameplay and sort of get some of my impressions about how things are going, I think it's just kind of a good game. Like, it's not great, it's not incredible, but it's also not the worst game in the world. So some people would have you think one way or the other. I would really remain kind of in the middle and kind of impartial, but also saying like, hey, this game's actually kind of good. It's really not quite as bad as everyone's been trying to make you seem that it's one way or the other, that it's, you know, games can only be incredible and amazing game of the year, or they are just absolute unplayable trash. I don't think it's one or the other. I think you can have games that are in the middle, that are just decent, or fun, or good, or great, or regular, or mediocre even. You know, sometimes we do play mediocre games. You know, sometimes you just want to play something simple and dumb, and, you know, you're not really worried about stuff like that. So it all aligns with whatever your tastes may be. But yeah, I have a couple videos on the channel on Star Wars Outlaws already, so if you want to go back and reference some of those, but I'll definitely be creating some more videos on that in the future. So yeah, I think let me get one more thing in here. I have a couple things that we can talk about, because you know, September 22nd right now, so we're coming up to Shocktober is coming around, and Shocktober is, yeah, I think it's just this clip is being, I'm going to turn down the quality a little bit. Maybe I'm stressing out too many resources. We're multi-streaming, we're recording. I think it's really pressing pretty hard on the encoding. So yeah, I think it's causing the video to lag a little bit. But yeah, one thing, check out my website, which is aaronshack.com. Okay, actually, I went to the edit part of my website instead of the proper. Okay, aaronshack.com. You can check out the merch store, the photography blog, gaming news and reviews, game photography. If you want to learn a little more about me or support the channel with a monthly membership and get access to special alerts and emojis and loyalty badges and stuff like that. What's up, you? How you doing? What's up, man? You can also check out the merch store. We've got the Enforcer gear. We've got the gamer hat. We've got the Respect Up merch, as well as some stuff based around me. We got the Wasted stuff. We got the Aaron Shack workout collection. All sorts of different things. Stickers, t-shirts, hoodies, bags, pickleball sets, you name it, we got it here. All sorts of different things that you can have that are kind of themed around myself and the channel. Just another way to support the channel. Let me see here. Let me go back to here. That way we just don't deal with more lag. I'll take away the Dead Rising stuff. Okay. But yeah, one of the last things I want to talk about on the show today is that Shocktober is coming. And if you haven't been around for a Shocktober before, if you're new to the channel or, just haven't been around for this particular festivity, Shocktober is usually a month where I sort of invest in playing horror games as much as I can throughout the month. Now, there will be some games, let me actually pull up the game calendar real quick of some games we know that are on the way. Let's see, Epic Mickey Rebrush, September 24th. Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, September 26th. Until Dawn Remake, October 4th. I think we could potentially play that, but Silent Hill 2 Remake, October 8th. That is priority one for Shocktober. A Quiet Place, The Road Ahead is October 17th. TMNT Mutants Unleashed, October 18th. Post Trauma, October 29th, which is a sort of Silent Hill-inspired indie game. But yeah, what I have planned for Shocktober is the Silent Hill 2 remake. I've had several requests to do another playthrough of Evil Within 2 on the channel, so I'm actually going to do that. We're going to keep playing the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. As I said, there are multiple playthroughs to do on that game, so I think we'll enjoy that throughout the month of October. Aliens Dark Descent, which was the real-time strategy game that we played a couple days back, where we had control of a whole team of soldiers and we're surviving on the planet and exploring and rescuing people and trying to rebuild and escape the aliens and stuff like that. So we have that, and then we have a number of other games. I kind of want to go back and play some of the older Silent Hills, and maybe wrap up Luigi's Mansion 3. I've been wanting to replay Silent Hill 1 quite a bit on the PS1. Back 4 Blood, I think there's still some of the story I haven't finished, and I just kind of think it would be kind of fun to get back onto that. There's a couple other games, but yeah, Silent Hill is usually a big one that I love to go back to, especially in October. But yeah, the Silent Hill 2 remake and the original Silent Hill, those are two things I'm going to aim for, as well as Evil Within 2 and the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. I know those are all games that I can, kind of play and finish within the month. It's not really the hardest thing in the world. But other games that we've played previous years during Shocktober would be like the Dead Space games. I don't know if Callisto Protocol was during Shocktober, or it might have been November. But, I play horror games all throughout the year, but sometimes I'll save them for the October period so we can do a Shocktober of just a bunch of spooky games that really fit well with the Halloween themes. So yeah, just stay tuned for that on the channel. I know I have a lot of stuff like Black Myth Wukong and other games that we're playing through that don't necessarily jive with the Halloween theme. So we will continue those, and we'll still do Elden Ring on Saturday nights, and we'll work in some Space Marine 2 with the guys. So, I mean, the schedule is always, sort of evolving and changing as we go. But, yeah, a lot of stuff like that would be really fun. I do agree. I think Dead Space 1 was really good, and I think the Dead Space remake was actually really strong. We played that when it came out. I haven't played Texas Chainsaw, but I'm not really... I played the Evil Dead game, and I've tried to enjoy Dead by Daylight, and I don't think I tried to play the Friday the 13th game as well. I think these asymmetrical horror games are just not for me, but it is a good idea. It's kind of an interesting idea, but yeah, I don't really get a lot of joy from those games. I think for me, some horror games can be experienced in co-op and can be really fun, but I don't really enjoy the PvP aspect of some horror games, but could be really fun. So yeah, we'll see how those things go. Gamers, I want to thank you for watching Shackcast episode 62 tonight on the channel, and you can find the podcast both on YouTube in video form. You can find it where you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify and other outlets. Wherever you get your podcasts, I'm trying to make sure that the Shackcast and all its episodes are available there. So make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave us a review if you can. If you have any comments or commentary, just keep it nice and considerate of others. Always welcome some comments down there below where we can all interact and discuss the topics at hand. You can check the description down below to links and videos to everything that we discussed today on the show. You can check down there. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your continued support. We'll be back later this week. I believe Monday I'm going to go see The Warriors. It's being re-released in theaters, so I'm not going to be around Monday. And then Tuesday, the classic animated film Batman Mask of the Phantasm will be in theaters, and so I'm going to go see that on Tuesday night. So I'm going to be out for a little bit, but once I'm back on Wednesday, I think we'll tap into wrapping up Dead Rising and getting back into Black Myth Wukong and go from there. Okay? So that's just kind of the schedule for the week. So once again, thank you for watching. Take care. Be safe. Have a good one. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.